Yeah, well, you know, it was like a jungle sometimes, used to make me wonder, like lightning and thunder, how I kept from going under, We out here like that, man, breaking beats and shit, man. I think you find that that's been locked, so.
I've seen something about it.
Oh, you got that whole setup going on live.
Yeah, man.
Right, let me get rid of this thing. It's not really anything kicking on it. Apart from probably that, which is 2 hours ago. Don't worry about it though. Absolutely brilliant. Didn't see that. Ding dang dong. You just switched off now.
This is an interview for Peep-magazine. We're here with a true legend, a true representation of urban culture, Mr. Normski.
Thank you, sir. That was a lovely introduction.
It's an absolute pleasure, mate. I was just saying off camera that I've actually watched it as a kid, and you're quite an inspiration to me. And I'm not just saying that. I don't say that to everybody, but I used to watch Dance Energy, Def 2. I used to watch that, and I'm going to be real, right? I didn't know that you were a photographer.
Ah, okay. Well, that's fair enough. Funny enough, I was a photographer until that program appeared in 1991, and even when I got the job as a presenter, I did actually go to a meeting with the producers, or actually the original writers, the production company that came up with the idea, and I went there as a photographer, and I was told about this new show that was coming, and that I should go down there, and maybe there was some photographic work I could do. Yeah. So it was weird that I got in there, and in the meeting I was showing my portfolio to the ladies, Mary and Darren, who are Diverse Productions. I think they were Diverse TV, and they were just gobsmacked with the pictures that I'd taken and just the amount I knew, because I was talking about the pictures and stuff, and just suggested, you ever thought about being on the other side of the camera? And I was like, well, no, not really. Like, kind of thinking, why would you say that? And I'm hoping that you're going to say, do you want to take photographs on this thing that we're doing? Well, why would you come up with me thinking about being on the other side of the camera? And they said, because you're amazing. You seem to know everyone, you seem to know everything, you've got a really good vibe, you're great this, great that, and I never really thought about it. Even though now that I look back at that, I think that the skills and what I guess the energy and the vibe that they felt was what I was gaining as a photographer, was being put into different environments, meeting people I didn't know, and having to kind of convince them that I wasn't going to mess up taking their picture or something. So there's a whole lot of social and relationship lessons I'd learned as a young photographer, that when it came to sitting down and talking about, taking pictures and being on production or being on the set, which I'd done some stuff with video shoots, I was at home with it. And then all these years later, which is 3 decades later, I've got a book out, but it's amazing how many people actually didn't realise that I did do photography, which is what led me into music television in the first place, because I was a music photographer, and it was another stepping stone in my kind of career evolution, if you like, of things that I would try throughout my life. Because prior to photography, I was a drummer in a band. And
I've just heard that through there.
Yeah.
Didn't know that either.
There's
Even though I've done my research.
Yeah, well, it's mad, isn't it? Because I don't think you can ever possibly know everything about. Even I find out stuff about me. I think even I find that stuff that I'd done. I thought, I don't remember doing that, and then you think, oh, I did do that, didn't I? You were talking about wearing different hats, different heads, and I've had that. And I never used to like to mix up my heads, but it's quite obvious that people see a lot more than just a photographer or just a DJ. Or, I turn up to gigs and people say, will you bring a camera along and take pictures? I'm like, well, hang on, I'm playing, DJing. and you
I'll
want me
just
to do
hit that hat off.
photography, you know. But I think that, you know, some art, like, you know, creative arts, especially music and image, they go hand in hand. So you can kind of be 2 or 3 things at any one time anyway.
Because we had a little walk outside and we're having a little bit of chat off camera, and we're talking about don't be a specialist, be a generalist.
I love that.
And you said?
My saying was, coming from a small unit that wanted to go large, we came up with the thing which was act local, think global.
I love that as well.
Yeah.
So we both came away from something.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that, and hopefully you'll say mine. Although I didn't make that up. But
No, I like that. A specialist, don't be a specialist, be a generalist. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but you could be a specialist at a lot of things.
yes.
You know, they say, was it
Jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades, a master of
Yeah,
none.
yeah.
Ah,
That doesn't really ring true now, does it?
No, well, some people are jack of all trades and they are master of absolutely none of them.
Yeah.
But then you get some people like me, as jack of all trades and a master of all trades.
Exactly, mate. So can we just switch back slightly, because we don't want to go into the whole ends of where you picked up the camera, and you've probably heard it 1,000 times. But I was interested to hear that your inspiration was Horace Orvey, and then a black filmmaker with themes of black Britishness, identity. What was that? Were you friends with him, or were you friends with his son?
I think what it turns out really is that I was of a time where black creators were going to make a huge impression in history in our early years, you know. And Zach Ovey is my school friend, and very good and oldest friend.
Ovey. Got you.
His father, Horace Ovey, the late Horace Ovey, Sir Horace Ovey as well, because he finally got knighted. But he was what put the cultural and creative stimuli into Zach. And so anything like when I was into playing drums and playing music, so was Zach. So there are a lot of, you know, black historical I would say essences, but the roots really that I would have seen and became much more visible in my friendship with Zach, because of what that being around Zach meant. I was around Horace, which meant I was around actors, I was around film people, I was around music people, around activists and politically minded people. Coming from a Jamaican household that came to the UK in the late 50s, early 60s, we all arrived here at a time of change. So whatever we did was always going to be new. And fortunately, you know, I felt that, you know, there were quite a few people, including Zach's family, that helped guide me and also back my interests. So even my mum and my stepfather, one day when they came back from work, knowing that I had a new hobby, which was photography, knowing that I was really into it, and when they'd seen a darkroom equipment for sale, they came back and told me about that. And that was a moment, you know, about 12-year-old, 13-year-olds, that was a moment in my life where the new level of what I want for Christmas or toys had gone from being any form of toy or a bike, even though when I got my first camera I did go to get a bike, with no interest in photography whatsoever. But then the bikes were gone, so I got a camera. So I have to thank my mum especially, but all of my family have always backed this one thing that Norm wanted to do, because I was really good at it. You know, I got into college early because I showed skills. I got into it just underage. So I did a year at college perfecting laboratory skills, and that was all before my 17th birthday.
Were your parents quite supportive with your photography? Say, I'm really pleased to hear that, because you don't hear that a lot,
Well,
especially back in the day.
Yeah, they were, because, you know, I mean, we adapted a cupboard that had no running water in it into a darkroom. So I used to run between that cupboard and the bathroom, which is a whole hallway with a front door and 1, 2, 3 more doors. No, I lied. There's so many doors off that hallway. So I would have been quite intense about the keeping the dark, keeping everything closed, which meant that I would have to be in the dark room when people were not in. You know, I had a brother. There's four of us living in the house, so there was, you know, I would be basically printing when everyone was in bed at night.
Wow.
That's when I was in the dark room. And, you know, and I'm sure Mum never says anything about it, but the dripping of the water, washing the prints all night long, then that would stop dripping when I went to bed at maybe 2 or 3 in the morning. But then I would have to hang the prints up so that they wouldn't, you know, someone could use a bath. And they used to have prints hanging on the line. It was ridiculous.
Wow.
But they put up with that for years. That's support.
Yeah.
Me begging money, that didn't come so hard and fast because we didn't have a lot of it. So I had to learn how to go and earn money. So I did odd jobs and stuff. You know, people got part-time jobs. I actually got a part-time job that turned into a full-time job in the London Rock Shop, which was a pretty cool music shop in Chalk Farm, right by Camden Lock, right by Dingwall's, the hot place to be, which is near to where I lived when I was growing up. So I was surrounded by all this music and art and cottage industries and this kind of DIY community kind of life, very social. And everything was like, a lot of things were like youth clubs, community centres. So a lot of my early interests as a photographer were doing things locally, you know, taking pictures locally, and then if someone saw I had a camera and they said, would you like to take pictures of things? And I was like, oh yeah. I gave it a shot. I messed some stuff up. I wasn't sure whether I should be doing this when I saw the disappointment in people's faces when the faith that they'd put in me to take pictures didn't come out at all good.
Yeah.
But I persevered.
Correct ISO.
Most people now have no idea of just how lucky they are, because, you know, we're talking about a time when it was film. You know, you could easily mess up a roll of film.
Yeah.
You could just have it on the wrong setting for the whole lot. You couldn't look at the back to see if it was bright or dark.
And then some people left the camera lens on.
Oh, there's that as well. There's all kinds of things like that. But now, what's mad now is that you could take a picture of a telephone or nearly any camera and you will definitely get a good shot straight away.
Yeah.
Because it's all idiot-proof. Everything's made, because people won't be happy if they don't get some kind of result. So the sort of skill technique that I learned, in a way, it doesn't need to exist as much now, but actually when you have got that skill, you can tell, because you know, I can get anything, I can take a picture of anything and it will look great, because I know what I'm looking for in the picture.
You've got that skill set.
Just from playing around for years, learning how to develop film in my own dark room, and then going to college for a year. When I went to college, I couldn't wait for that 1 year to be up, actually, because I just wanted to go and work. I actually wanted to go and do photography right when in the middle of the course. I wanted to just go and work. And so the last half of the course I don't remember that well, because I was already fixed on starting to do darkroom stuff for other people, printing for people, because I had a darkroom, you know. And there's an old school friend of mine, I found out many years later, or not that long ago, recently, that she said, oh, Norm was the only person when we were growing up that had a darkroom. Like, that was like a major thing. I never ever thought of it, but I didn't have anything else. I never had loads of toys. I never had a bike. But what I did have was a darkroom, and anything to do with camera equipment. That's all my money went into that. I had rolls of paper. I bought second-hand flash from this other photographer that nearly blew me up. Clearly, nearly electrocuted me about 3 or 4 times.
Like,
some old, like, you know, that old.
It's like the nut and bolts, though. It's like the foundations of nurturing your craft.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was a hobbyist kind of kid. I did a lot of things like model building. I liked to do, worked with balsa wood. You know, I was trying to.
Very creative.
Yeah, I was, you know, but I was very much into the mechanics and the machinery. And I guess even when I went to college, that course I did, which is a DayTech Certificate of Photographic Laboratory Skills, it gave you an inroads into all of the things you would need to, first of all, definitely go and work at a lab on a high street, like Snappy Snaps or something like that. I knew how to use those machines to do quick colour processing. I knew how to do hand colour printing and black and white printing. Then we did film as well. We did art and design, which all these things in this course combine photography and all these other elements. And I've always been that ever since. So, you know, it's not just being about just the photography. And even, you know, when I think about even being into DJing and music, I do it is the kit and the equipment. I like the bits you have to get. I like the accessories. I've always been, like, I guess I didn't collect football cards, but
I wasn't really into
collect 35mm slides. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's 100,000 photographs or something.
Wow.
Maybe not that many. Maybe 100,000 frames, but maybe not. Maybe only about 100 photographs. In those days you learned 36, roll of 36 film, or 24. I never used to buy 24 much. You'd always buy a roll of 36.
I'm still listening, bro.
And you'd have to be pretty particular about how you shoot. Now I've got 2,000 shots on the digital camera, and every now and again I try and be particular about it. But the other day I did a shoot and I wasn't. I was just flapping away, shooting away like it was just like a roll of film, like a movie camera. And actually I look back and the results weren't as tight as I wanted them to be. Had I been a little bit more one at a time, slowly. And I think there's another thing you get when you have to take your time over stuff is you are much more sensitive and much more careful. So that's how I learned, being sensitive and careful. And then once you've got that rule, you've got the rule book all there in front of you, and you just tear it off, don't you? And because you can go beyond the bar line and create a whole different, set of chords, if you like. I'm speaking musically, but I kind of combine that feeling of it. That's what it is, isn't it? It's just layers, seeing depths of field, depths of focus, different shades, different tones, and it's endless, it's infinite. And you re-educate the mind by showing them, a piece of white paper and just put one black line on it, and the brain will start seeing all kinds of stuff. So I found that very interesting, photography, because it really was a brilliant way to titillate the senses and the imagination.
What, as an artist, what has been your biggest challenge, and how have you overcame that? As could be a photographer, DJ, presenter.
Biggest challenge.
What has been your biggest challenge, and how have you overcome that?
Oh, that's a really good question. What's been the biggest challenge with what I do? It's weird that actually.
Shall we pause that?
Yeah, I'll have a little think about that.
Yeah.
What is the biggest challenge, though? When you think, that's a great question, that.
Jazzy B said it's all about expression. Do you think that still resonates now as an artist, as young kids coming up? Is it still all about expression?
Yeah, absolutely. I think everything about life, it's like a flower. If it doesn't flower, then it's unable to express its inner self or its special power, or it's maybe not. That's maybe not what it's there for. But I think, as an artist, definitely it is all about expression, and it's also all about believing in and having passion for your interests and what you feel, your messages that you're trying to share with the world. And I think that it's easy to ask somebody for an opinion, but that's also why you're doing that. Why are you asking someone else? They're not you. Do it and then see what they say. But we often find ourselves not doing stuff because of society's pressures of should I be doing this, or is it okay if I? So like now, it's quite apparent with photography that it's not as easy to just go up to someone and just take their picture.
No,
you can't just do that.
Street style.
Yeah, you can't really do that now, apparently, by law, which is quite strange, because you can do it under certain circumstances, but you can't do it under other circumstances. So I came up with a time where that was probably the reason why they said you can't do it, where people would just take pictures of people, but you never really would exploit them. But there always was a little look of kind of like,
what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Not sure. Now you go up to someone with a camera and they go full on into superpose mode.
Or rage mode.
Or what are you taking my picture of? Because they immediately think you're going to market their look, or they're going to make money from it and stuff. And then they get missed out of in the historical value of the human race when you do a book like mine, which documents life at a particular time. And you might have found somebody quite interesting. But everyone's got their own reasons for why they don't want to have their photographs taken.
Man with the golden shutter.
And
I want to get this in before this camera.
oh no, absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
Man with Golden Shutter, 272-page hardback book, published by ACC Art Books, who I'm very, very happy to have been working with, because they totally got me. That's just a little bit. I read some of the book on the way up.
Wow.
But they totally got me where I was coming from, and I asked for really good quality paper and deep blacks and stuff. And
Can we do a quick fire through some of these pages? I'm going to ask you about them. Then you quick
go
fire.
on. Yeah, that's
So who's this guy?
Herves. He's one of the original breakers from London. He still breaks to this day. He's still teaching at Pineapple.
Cool.
He's an OG.
Who is this?
That's Dizzy Heights.
Right.
He was one of the first rappers ever to ever rap. Like 1982, 81, 82 or something. And he used to rap down at the Titanic Club. He was one of these Ladbroke Grove based guy.
Okay. Who's this guy? I've never seen him before.
Goldie shouting at everyone, telling everybody how this is the best photograph ever taken of him.
Another famous Cliff.
Yeah, he is actually. He is,
Cliff.
and Wolverhampton's not too far from Newcastle.
Who are these guys?
This is the She Rockers. This is at 1988, and outside the McDonald's in Shepherd's Bush, which is where they used to hang out and have little rap ciphers and stuff, which is where they were also invited
Professor Griff
down to, because then he did a record with them, which went out on Music of Life, because he wanted to do a bit of production work. That's X-Clan in New York City, one time when I was there for the New Music Seminar, hardcore black militant group.
How can people get this book?
Well, I'll be honest with you, the man with the golden shutter is not the man, it's actually Normski, man with the golden shutter. Yeah. It's available at all bookshops. You can get it online everywhere.
Have you got a website where people can go?
I don't have a website, but accartbooks.com. accartbooks.com.
Brilliant.
They have got all the access to everything, and they are doing all distribution.
Who is this lady?
That is Real Roxanne, who was sang with Howie T, One Tune Wonder. And she came over to the UK very early on, old school. I believe she's got a Puerto Rican background, but she just had a whole really fashionable look about it. Wasn't a particularly good rapper, and then Real Roxanne came along and made sure that, people knew that she wasn't.
Method Man?
That's Method Man, and that's Wu-Tang.
Another Cliff?
And he is a Cliff as well.
He's doing this on
purpose. Cliff, you're doing this on purpose.
Cliff.
You've done your research. You're just looking for the cliff shots, aren't you? I wonder if there's a shot of the White Cliffs of Dover. No, I didn't do any shots there. I left. This is one of my favourite photographs in the book.
What a voice!
Which is actually Karen Wheeler from Soul to Soul.
Yeah.
Which funny you should mention them because
Jazzy B.
This is when they were #1 worldwide. They were #1 on Billboard, #1 and #1 in the UK, and they flew out there to New York and got some limo treatment. And I was already in New York.
Right.
Before they had arrived. I was out there on another thing. I think it was on the arse end of another seminar, but I knew they were coming, so I stayed a couple of extra days and caught up with them.
It's a lovely shot.
Yeah, the limo and the old-fashioned mobile phone. I love all that. There's iced tea.
I was just going to say that. Is that iced tea?
You can feel the fur coat thing on it, can't you? It's iced tea and baby bambata. And actually Donald D, I realised, in the shadows there.
Wow.
And they were out in Burbank University out in California.
Home Invasion, original gangster.
Yeah, really, to be honest. West
Was
Coast.
that time as well? Because it looks that time.
Yeah, that was about,
Roughly.
Yep, 80... 89, 90.
Oh, who's
That's
this
Shade. That is Shade. I didn't say his real name then. Down in London, Shade and Smile, the brothers, that used to do a lot of work down in London. It's the first, I think, to be honest for me, I think they were neighbours to me when I lived in Primrose Hill, and I think they were the first guys I knew who did graffiti. But they were close to me. They lived in the same. And I knew other people did graffiti, but I didn't know didn't know them. It's only in this new age today that people know who these artists all are. There's loads of it in there. I mean, we are really flying through the book.
We're flying through.
That's fine. This is showing my darkroom techniques, like some of the stuff I incorporate in my work, and taking it a little bit further. Some print manipulation stuff I did, and just a little explanation how I did that. I'm very proud of it, and actually also, not all of them, but a lot of record sleeves that I've photographed.
Wow, look at that.
So I couldn't get them all on there because it was an odd number, and I couldn't get them, so I've got to do another book.
Normski, we've got to wrap it up because apparently your taxi's coming.
Yes, and we've got things to do. We're right up here at the bridge number 4
But
Newcastle Hip Hop Festival, and I'm having the best time, and it's a real honour to be able to share some stuff, especially with yourself, Cliff,
thanks.
and the peep-magazine crew,
Cheers, bro.
and everyone else who's come out today. We had a great panel. Tomorrow is day two for me. It's Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm very much looking forward to see what they got in store for us tomorrow, and the party's going to go off later on with Sarah Love. So this has been a fabulous thing. If there's anything else you want to ask me later on, we're welcome to. I know we've got to run now, but
Yeah.
I'm about.
Thanks a lot, mate.
Bless you, brother. Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
I appreciate working with you,
And
man.
I
It's
love
been a
that
pleasure.
book, and I love your work as well.
Yeah, man. Got to get you a copy, man. Sort that out. All right, bro.
I'm going to let you get your taxi, mate, because you've got places
Yeah,
to be. I got places I got to
things
be.
to do. I can relax for 5 seconds, but not too long. I think I've got to go and get me bag and stuff
Yeah,
as well,
you've
ain't I?
got to sort yourself out.
Right, okay. You're good, yeah?
Cheers, bro. I'll sort this out.
All right,
Oh, shit, mate, shit. Can you sign this?
Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, yeah.
Cheers, mate. I'm going to keep this and put it on my wall. Actually, I'll give you a copy.
Please do.
Yeah, I'll give you a copy, mate. I'll come through with you.
Please do. I'd love a copy of that. Take the people of the pray. Right, I'm coming. Right, I'm coming. I didn't realise I was that far.